Welcome back to Hope's Homemade Kitchen. If you're new here, I'm Hope, and each week I bring you step-by-step recipes that you can make in your own kitchen. Today we're making 2 smoked pork butts on the Traeger grill. Each of them will have their own bold flavors, but they're different. The first one is sweet and spicy with a hot honey seasoning. The other one is a Mexican-Thai fusion with smoky fajita spices and a sriracha sauce kick. Let's get started and I'll show you the ingredients. Then we'll fire up the smoker. The meat we're using today is bone-in pork shoulder butt that comes in a 2-pack from Costco. The seasonings from left to right. For the hot honey one, we're using mustard, all-purpose butcher seasoning, hot honey seasoning, salt, pepper, butter, and not shown are pineapple juice and brown sugar. For the Mexi-Thai fusion, salt, pepper, butter, sriracha sauce, fajita seasoning, mesquite seasoning, and chicken broth. I also have a squirt bottle of water to spray occasionally as the pork butts cook. For the first pork butt, it looks like they've trimmed a good portion of it. You can certainly leave the fat on. I'm going to trim it off just a little bit so it's not excessive. Make sure that there are no pieces hanging. And this is the bone-in kind. I'm going to start with a mustard binder. Okay, this is the one that I'm going to be doing salt and pepper. I've mixed all of my spices together. Salt and pepper, hot honey seasoning, and an all-purpose butcher's seasoning. I'm using recipes from Meat Church, and I'm following it pretty closely, but I don't have Meat Church seasonings. I'm using my own seasonings. So, and he says right in his videos, use what you have. So he does sell products, but we're doing our own today. I'm going to add a little more honey seasoning to that. Okay, we'll put that one aside while we prep the Mexican one. Now, if these turn out like I'm hoping, I'll be using the Mexican flavored one for Mexican style dishes like tacos, burritos. I'm going to try some taquitos. Again, you just want to flip it over and go through and see if there's any hanging pieces or excess fat. You'll want to cut that off. I'm going to be using a sriracha binder. Again, you don't have to use a binder. I think the Meat Church recipe uses Cholula sauce. I didn't have any of that, but that sounds like a really good option. Ooh, that's going to be a spicy one. Okay, I've mixed together mesquite seasoning, fajita seasoning, and salt and pepper. I'm excited to see if these actually impart significantly different flavors. Sometimes with the smoke, they all kind of taste alike, so we'll see if we can bring a little bit of difference to these. I'm going to put these 2 pork butts aside to kind of sweat that seasoning in while I prepare the grill. The pellets that I'm using are a blend of maple, hickory, and cherry. It's kind of an all-purpose blend of pellets, so that's what I'm using today. Okay, now it's sufficiently heated. I'm going to close the lid and put it up to 250 degrees. So we'll be cooking both of our pork butts at 250 degrees for most of the day. Okay, I'm putting on the 2 pork butts. back out of the way. All right. So I put in an extra smoke tube just to intensify the smoke a little bit. I've got some just water in a spray bottle. Just give it a nice, just so they're not drying out too much. You can also use like apple juice, any kind of juice, even mixed with water that you like. And it's just fine to use water as well. And at this point, it's been about 3 hours. Internal temperature is around 150 right now. I want to get it to 165 before I pull it and wrap it. So we'll let it cook a little longer. It's already at 170. I had just taken it at 165, so I'm gonna pull that. The other one will take a little bit longer. So the next thing I need to do is top this with a stick of butter. The recipe calls for like an Irish butter, kind of a little, probably like a Kerrygold. I didn't have that. And they also call for unsalted. Mine is salted. So I think this will be just fine as long as it's butter. A little bit of hot honey rub. So Meat Church calls for his own honey hog rub, which I don't have, but I do have this Weber hot honey, which should be good too. Now on top of this, he said a half a can of, I don't know how big the can is, it didn't say, but a half a can of a good fruit juice. I happen to have some pineapple juice. I think those flavors would be good. So I'm just gonna add that in. And then if that's not enough, we're adding in a cup of brown sugar. Seems like a lot of sugar, but it's gonna be like a good base for a barbecue pulled pork. So I'm gonna cover the pan tightly with like the heavy duty foil. So I'm gonna cover it with that. And then it says to return to the smoker and cook until it's at least 190 to 195 degrees. But I'm gonna put it a little bit further and go to about 203. And I've seen some of Meat Church's videos where he takes it that far, and it's just more tender and it's better for pulling the pork. So we want a pulled pork, not a sliced pork. So we're gonna take it a little further. That's some heavy duty foil. All right, so to get it to 165 or 170, it was about 6 hours. So now we'll see how long it takes to get to 203. Okay, this second pork butt is taking a little longer. We need to get this to 170 before we pull it. So I'm gonna give it a good spray there. And we'll let it cook a little longer until it gets to the proper temperature. And then we'll pull it and put on more butter, hot sauce. This is gonna be the Mexican flavored one. Okay, it has finally hit an internal temperature of 170, a little bit beyond that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it and wrap it. I'm gonna put on a stick of butter, some additional seasoning and hot sauce, and then we'll wrap it like we did the first one and cook it to an internal temp of about 205 degrees. So I added sriracha sauce, butter, additional seasonings, and I'm gonna put a half a cup of chicken broth in the bottom of the pan. We'll wrap it. And we'll put it back on the smoker until it reaches a temperature of 205 degrees internal temperature. Okay, the first pork butt is done. It's already reached temperature, so I pulled it from the smoker and I tested it by, if you put in the temperature probe, there's no resistance at all. And you'll see it's reached 203 degrees. So we're gonna let it rest for about 45 minutes to an hour. Meanwhile, the other one is finishing cooking. Okay, so this one is the sweet and spicy one with the hot honey. Ooh, look at all of that juice. I want to show you how easy this bone is going to come out. And that'll give you the pure indication that it is very perfectly done. It just slides out of there. Perfect. So now we're going to go through, we're going to pull the pork and separate out the pieces that we don't want to eat, the real fatty pieces. So there's a big fat cap right there. I'm going to pull what meat I can from it. And this is, I believe, why they call it pulled pork, because you kind of go through and pull what you want. And you want to get a pair of these nitrile gloves. I also got some cotton gloves to go underneath, because that's just, you can actually get in there with your hands then and it won't be too hot. Look at that bark. Just beautiful. This is pulling and shredding just perfectly. That's why I like to bring the temperature to at least 205 degrees. Now, some people wrap it at 165, 170. Some people don't wrap it at all. Today, we did wrap it, and I think it just helps to provide, it helps to cook it quicker, for one thing. But it really, I believe, locks in that moisture as well. Honestly, that doesn't have a lot that you would discard. This looks like it's going to be really good. There are so many uses for pulled pork. Like I said, you could do the sandwiches. You could just have it straight with coleslaw, beans. You could put them in burritos, tacos. So that is pulled pork number 1. I am really happy with that. I've done pulled porks before, pulled pork butts before, and I guess I didn't cook them enough because they were not so easy to shred like this. So I think the key is definitely to cook it up to that at least 203 to 205 degree mark of internal temperature, and I think that really helps it. It helps the meat release. What I would recommend to do with the pan juices is to use like a gravy separator, like a grease separator. And you can, put it in the refrigerator until it separates, and then just use the juice from the bottom of it. And you can pour it back over the meat. Okay, the second one came off last, so it's probably a little hotter, but I believe it's rested sufficiently. This is the Mexican Thai fusion one. So this is less sweet. Let's pull out that bone. That came out just as easy. Look at that. Another good one. Some good pieces of bark here with the smoke ring. I love that. This is kind of, I guess you would say, the beginner's cut of meat that you can smoke. I mean, they're kind of hard to mess up really bad unless you just don't cook them enough and they're tough. But they're very versatile too. You can put all kinds of flavors on them. And you can use the meat in so many different ways. Okay, for the taste test, I have a hamburger bun here. And on this side, I'm going to use the sweet hot honey. Just put in a little barbecue sauce on it. This side is the spicy fusion one, the Mexican Thai style. I'm going to put a few drips of sriracha on that. And I'll go in first with the hot honey. That's incredible. Really, really good. So tender and flavorful with a mild sweet taste. So for the Mexi Thai fusion, it had the smoky fajita seasonings on it, as well as the sriracha sauce that we used as a binder and as a sauce. Let's try it. That's amazing. It just depends on what flavor profile that you're feeling for the day. They're really, really good. Today I think I'm favoring the sriracha one though. I have a lot of pulled pork to use. The great thing about this, I can put it in freezer bags and we can pull it out and have dinner anytime. Pulled pork sandwiches. I could use it for enchiladas. And I'm definitely going to make those taquitos. I hope you try this. You need to have plenty of time because it did take, all in all, it took about probably 10 hours total. Thank you so much for joining me today on Hope's Homemade Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed our day out using the Traeger grill. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel, hit the bell for more videos, and share with your friends. We'll see you next time.